Good afternoon. We are live. My name is Karen Clark. I'm from Foxy 107, 104. And I'd like to thank you for joining us today for our hashtag Let's Talk Jobs event. This is the second in the series in partnership with Radio One and IBM. So today we're going to be examining the employment inequity crisis, that in addition to COVID-19 jobs recovery and resources for job placement and advancement in the Triangle area. So we're doing this town hall in conjunction with 110. Now, 110's mission is to hire, promote, and advance 1 million Black individuals who do not have a four-year degree into family-sustaining careers over the next 10 years. 110 takes a skills-first approach, focusing on competencies in an aim to close the opportunity gap and ignite potential for generations to come. So let's get started. I'd like to start out by introducing our panelists for today. I'd like to start with Maurice Jones. He is the CEO of 110. Maurice worked under the Clinton administration on legal policy and program issues at the Treasury Department. He served as the Secretary of Commerce for the Commonwealth of Virginia. He served as Deputy Secretary for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and was Commissioner of Virginia's Department of Social Services and Deputy Chief of Staff to former Virginia Governor Mark Warner. Welcome so much. Thank you for joining us today, Maurice.
Thanks for having me.
Next up is a name that everyone knows, Ninth Wonder. He is a Grammy-nominated hip-hop producer, a record executive, a DJ, and a rapper. He's worked everywhere. And by everywhere, I mean everywhere. He's worked at North Carolina Central, Duke, Harvard University, the University of Pennsylvania, the University of Virginia, and has been a guest lecturer at the University of Michigan, Cornell, Columbia College, Florida Southern, Winston-Salem State University, the College of Charleston, Fayetteville State University, and many, many others. So thank you for joining us, Ninth.
Thank you.
Next, joining us, we've got Mayor Elaine O'Neill. She was elected mayor of the greatest city in the world. I'm a tad bit biased when I say that. Elected this past November. She received her undergrad and JD from North Carolina Central University and was the first woman in Durham County to be named Chief District Court Judge, was elected the first woman Superior Court Judge in Durham County, and retired from the bench after 7 years to lead the NCCU School of Law as interim dean. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Next, we've got Deborah Holt Noel. She is a veteran news media professional with 20 plus years of experience. She's the host and contributing producer for the PBS North Carolina's most watched and highly rated original series about local culture and destination travel, and North Carolina Weekend, and the host and senior producer of PBS North Carolina's longest running original public affairs series, Black Issues Forum. Thank you, Deborah, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be on the panel with all of these distinguished guests.
And then last, but certainly not least, we've got Dr. Anitra in Manning. Dr. Manning leads a team of diversity and inclusion professionals dedicated to providing diversity and inclusion-focused strategic consulting, talent management, and programmatic support to technology and sales leaders. Dr. Manning brings strong experience across nonprofit, academic, and financial services sectors to the service of IBM's corporate D&I strategy, ensuring sound change management and thoughtful execution. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
So let's kick this off with Mayor O'Neill. We'll go with you first. So what are some of the challenges Black talent face when seeking employment based on location?
Well, the biggest problem that we've seen thus far is just the lack of transportation. We've become a regional sort of hub with lots of jobs coming in to the east of us and to the west of us. And most of the transportation systems, which were public transportation systems, which is primarily bus, they are not regional. Most of them are centrally located to the respective downtowns. So that's been a barrier. And so we are working to improve those routes. We are also getting ready to make a decision about commuter rail that will connect Raleigh to Durham to Orange County. In the meantime, though, we are taking a closer look at our bus transportation systems here in Durham, which is currently free. And we're hoping to maintain that and also to strengthen those times, shorten those times and strengthen those ties to places outside of Durham. So that's the biggest barrier, transportation.
That is a huge one. And I think that everybody that lives in this area and commutes and sits in traffic on 40 and 540 and the Beltline and other highways would love to see some big changes come. And it would be great to just be able to move around a lot more easily. So thank you for that. So Maurice, 110's goals are ambitious, and I'm talking about hiring and advancing 1 million Black talent without four-year degrees into family-sustaining jobs. So how do you plan to achieve this, and why is this market, the Triangle market, one of the places you chose to start with 110?
Yeah, well, I'm delighted to be with you and all members of the panel. So let me start with why the Raleigh Durham, why the Triangle market is a place to do this. Um, this ultimately is about building on assets in a market, connecting them and scaling them, right? And you need to do this work, you need a handful of assets. You need great companies who have great jobs that they're willing to put on the table for Black talent without four-year degrees to compete for. You need organizations that can help to equip that talent with the skills needed to perform in those jobs, IT jobs, finance jobs, HR jobs, and the like. You need a really, really strong, motivated workforce. You need folks who are hungry and who have experiences and skills that enable them to perform. And then you need also, to the mayor's point, you need those talent support providers. You need the mentors and coaches and transportation. And then lastly, you need the leadership to do this. Raleigh, Durham, the Triangle area has all of these in spades. And the way that we will do the work there is knitting together these assets and scaling them so we can hit great numbers in the Raleigh Durham area. That's why we are choosing to lean in here, because you've got the leadership, you've got the assets, you've got the great companies like IBM, for example, great leaders like the mayor, for example. That's what we're looking for ultimately, is putting this stuff together and it's scaling it so we can partner with Black families and change the trajectories of those families, partner with companies and literally change those companies to a skills first hiring and promoting enterprise. That's how 110 will get its work done, will accomplish this mission in 10 years or less. And that's how and why we're choosing a place like Raleigh Durham as a great place to start.
So we have all the puzzle pieces. We just got to put it together.
Got all the puzzle pieces. It's about knitting them together and scaling them.
So Deborah, what are some of the issues or inequities that you're hearing from talent regarding accessing opportunities in our state, and where do you see some of the efforts to address these coming from? Deborah, I don't think that we can hear you.
Okay, how about that?
That's good.
Thank you. Once again, for being here, for inviting me. But as far as some of the issue areas, certain and what talent are expressing, it's about access. And I know that we talk a lot about networking, but actually being at the table, being invited to the table, being invited into the room is an issue. And when you don't know who to connect to, and those connections aren't reaching out to you, there's certainly an access issue. As far as the different areas of disparity, certainly the disparities exist in business ownership, in business access to loans, access to real estate, which traces back to the ability to afford to purchase space and so forth. You've got inequities in education as well, in terms of what's available to students when they're going to college, and to be able to afford college. Then there are inequities with regard to how much money is available to students and how they can get that money, how much money they have to be able to get without a safety net coming out of college. That inequity in turn leaves the student coming out of college vulnerable when it comes to taking advantage of opportunities for internships, which is another level of access. You've got kids out there who would love to have an internship. Some internships offer the benefit of the experience, but if a student doesn't have time to come and get that experience because they're using that time in a part-time job selling sneakers, for example, which has nothing to do with what they want to do as a career, there's an imbalance there, and that's education. The studies on business inequities are out there. You've even got inequities with regard to health care and health provision. Some of that, once again, has to do with access and transportation, and also has to do with some of the ways that minorities are treated when they get into the health space. So there's a lot of conversation about the inequities that exist in a variety of areas. And I haven't touched the criminal justice system, but I don't want to take up all the time. You ask the question, where are the organizations that are making a dent, that are moving things forward? I wish I could say that I could name, a handful of organizations who have chopped the inequity in half or put a dent in it. I don't know. I know organizations that are doing the studies, that are doing the analysis, having the conversations, and that is a good first step. I think it's problematic that we are in 2022 still talking about those first steps and the analysis and getting the information. I think the data is out there, and what's next are the action plans, and the people who are helpful to implementing that action plan may not look like what you think.
So now it's time to get the work done.
Yes, it is. Get to work.
So, Dr. Manning, IBM has been a leader in skills first hiring for quite a while. Explain to us what skills first hiring is and what have been some of the outcomes from this approach that IBM is taking.
Thank you so much, Karen. So skills first hiring is really about how we prioritize the right mix of skills, the right mix of in-demand skills over degrees as we are looking at filling talent in for the current job openings that we have. So we really are prioritizing how we look at degrees as not the most important factor, but it is one of the things that we need to look at is really around skills. And so when we think about how we look at skills, I want you to notice that when you have a job, a skill that you're learning today, that skill is only really good for about 3 years. And then you are in a place of needing to learn again. So we are really focused on recruiting people who really do have a capacity to be a continuous learner, and that also really are thinking about how they're becoming more curious. So we're looking for curiosity, and we also are looking for that person who is a continuous learner. We find that the traditional degree requirement, which is about 4 years, really is an impediment when we're thinking about how we can open up the door of access to jobs. And we are really looking at how we can strengthen the doors of opportunity, open up the doors of opportunity. And so when we look at the fact that we have 67% of Americans who do not have a 4-year degree. That is a lot of people. And this is also more expanded when you think about 79% of Latinx people do not have a 4-year degree. 73% of Indigenous people do not have a 4-year degree, and 72% of Black Americans do not have a 4-year degree. And skills first hiring really does try to address that skills gap and brings more people into the workforce. What we're trying to really do is to think about how we bring in people who may have a different type of background, who have non-traditional backgrounds, those people who are re-entering the workforce, those who might be in a place of reconsidering whatever their job occupation has been, thinking about doing something very different than what they've done before, and really giving them an opportunity to really think about how they want to work within the workforce. And so we're really looking at how we can move the gaps, change the gaps, close the gaps, so that more people are able to come into the workforce and are no longer shut out. And it is a pleasure to be able to serve as an IBM operations leader for 110. We are excited about serving in this role so that we're able to support the work of 110. We are also really intensifying, supporting the intensification of the skills first kind of efforts within the Raleigh-Durham area. And so we're excited to support all the companies that are part of the 110 coalition to make that happen.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Manning. And those numbers are pretty impressive, pretty shocking to hear them laid out like that and broken down by ethnicity. Ninth, from your perspective, what mindset should a job applicant have to be successful in their search for adequate employment in this day and age in 2022?
I mean, to be honest, I think the one thing that COVID taught us very quickly was to really pursue the passion you always wanted to and you never did. To be able to think outside the box. It's funny because I was listening to everybody. And the one thing about Raleigh-Durham is, Raleigh-Durham is very unique because we have at least 12 forms of higher education in a 20-mile radius, right? If you include Chapel Hill. And a lot of us come here for school, but a lot of us don't finish. I am one of the ones that didn't finish. So I'm actually a product of what Brother Maurice was talking about. I was one of the ones that did not finish it. I know a plethora of people that have come here, stayed here over the last 20 years, didn't finish school, but end up getting another job. But one thing about the Raleigh-Durham area is we now have an opportunity to think outside of the box, not only just getting a traditional job, but things that wasn't always connected to our area. One thing is a field that I'm in, entertainment. And when I say entertainment is, sometimes you think, what do I be, as a singer or rapper or producer? That's not what it is. There's so many jobs that come in being in this entertainment industry. You have lawyers, copyright lawyers, you have managers, you have videographers, you have so many things that you can do. I think one of the things that proved that was when Dreamville comes here every year and has 60,000 people, participants, is not necessarily the people that are performing. You have to think about the number of jobs that's created for that to come, right? Which is not only the only thing that probably will come here, right? Because the music industry is not the first thing you think of having a job here. Or Durham is very, very, very rich on the arts, but there's not a lot of talk about what kind of revenue that can be created from people that have talent, that deal within the arts. So I think that's a big thing that people need to start thinking about. Like I said, COVID, I got so many calls from people talking about, well, man, my job is doing this and my job is doing that, my job is laying off, whatever. I always wanted to write the book. And I think we don't, in our higher education fields and a lot of things, we don't talk about creating the job enough. We talk about getting one, but we don't talk about creating the job. And so many of my friends created a job out of necessity of losing their job in COVID and exploring exactly what their passion was. So there's so many ways to go at it, but I think a way you can really look at it is we need to start telling the next generation, especially of kids and young adults, that you can create the job, you can create something out of something you really want to do. And you can start thinking outside of the box when it comes, especially in this rich area of always young people coming here. Every
Mhm.
year, it's a new crop of young people coming in. And with that brings new energy. And I believe that you can create a job out of it.
I think that's a great mentality, and I think that these younger kids are really seeing that. I mean, when you see the number of influencers that are creating whole lifestyles based on following their passion, that is not something that our grandparents knew anything about. So I think moving forward, it's gonna be a whole different game, especially when it comes to following your passion. Thank you for that. So, Mayor O'Neill, how can Black talent take advantage of the strong economy and the COVID-19 jobs recovery?
Well, the first thing I think that has to happen is that they need to know that people want you. You know,
Mm,
they are looking for strong black talent, and so you just have to know a lot of the resources that are out there, and they are many. For instance, in the city of Durham, we have a lot of vacancies in pretty much all departments. So we are steadily hiring. We have our workforce development office who can help you navigate some of the systems that are outside of Durham. We have a lot of companies that are coming into Durham who make contact with that office. So make sure that you check your resources. Also, take a look at Durham Tech. For some of these jobs are requiring some level of expertise in their industry. For
mhm,
example, in some of the pharmaceutical companies, they are partnering with Durham Tech for certifications, and you
mhm,
can get those certifications fairly cheaply and fairly quickly. Some of those certifications are you can get it in as little as 9 months, and you'll be prepared to take interviews from employees who are hiring at starting salaries of about 50,000 and up. So these are well-paying jobs. Also, don't forget those traditional uh, industries. Construction. You see a lot of construction going on around and about the Research Triangle area, especially in Durham. But if you look at the who's actually doing that work, you will notice that it may not be a lot of us. So that is a lucrative area, and we need to have more, not only workers, but we need folk who will become general contractors and be able to hire some other black talent. So it's this is a growing area, and we have lots of jobs that you can look at. Also, please don't forget about the public safety aspect. There has been a lot of talk about defund the police and different things like that. In that vein, we're gonna need police for a while. And in our last class, which I attended the graduation of about a month ago, we had only 7 officers to complete that class. And out of those 7, there were only 2 African Americans, I think, that completed that class. Before
mm.
that, we only had 4. We have a new class that will begin in August. So we're looking for that. Firefighters, 911 workers, we have a new partnership with Durham Tech to train our 911 operators. I'm sure if you've been in this area, you've heard some of the different challenges that we've had in that arena. We've now partnered with Durham Tech, who will begin to offer the training. They're doing it relatively quickly in terms of the turnaround time. I think it's less than 12 weeks. So there are lots of opportunities. Just look and reach out for help. We stand ready as a city to guide you through that process, to connect you to some of these opportunities, and there are others who stand ready to help as well. They're looking for you,
They
believe
are
me.
looking for us.
They are, and they're even the one innovative thing, Karen, that I do want to mention is the banning the box. There are a lot of folk who, as I've gone around the city, who are committed to trying to make sure that we hire folk who have been traditionally left out of employment opportunities because of their involvement in the criminal justice system. We are determined to change that trajectory and encourage businesses to take part in helping folk to change their lives. You would rather see them at work than see them in the dark at night somewhere.
Amen. Amen. Um, Maurice, to piggyback off of something that the mayor was talking about earlier, Data shows that Black families are 2 times more likely than their white counterparts to skip or go without work due to childcare disruptions. And childcare is one example. Talk a little bit more about the support services 110 is providing to help talent overcome challenges when it comes to childcare and transportation, which is what the mayor was referencing earlier.
Yeah, this goes back to both what the mayor was referencing and what I mentioned as a key foundational building block of the 110 journey. And that's what we call the wraparound supports, right? Or the talent supports, transportation, childcare, coaches and mentors, assistance with mental wellness, all of these, financial literacy, all of these are pieces of the puzzle that 110 is curating to the table on behalf of this talent. And so we are going to be in the Raleigh Durham area looking for organizations in the community that can actually step up to the table and make sure that talent has access to these services over the long run, right? Because what we're trying to do, to a point that was made earlier, we're trying to wrap an ecosystem around talent to, yes, a system with getting hired, but that's 20% of the game. The real game is once you're hired, are you in a position to continue to make advancements, get promotions, get more and more responsibility, get into leadership roles? And that takes all of these players still working with you. That takes coaches, both within the company and outside of the company, sponsors within the company. That takes reliable childcare. That takes transportation systems, both public and private, that are working on behalf of talent. And so what 110 is doing in each of the places where it works is finding local partners who can provide these services and investing in them to be there for talent and to frankly scale their ability to serve even more talent. That's a big piece of the 110 journey.
All right. Let's go back to ninth for a second. You wear and have worn and continue to wear many hats. You're a college instructor, a producer, a DJ, and many other things. What type of training would you suggest a job seeker complete if they want to do what you do?
Oh, um, well, some of some of what I do came from like background of my family. My mom was a kindergarten teacher in the Winston-Salem Forsyth County school system for 46 years. So that's part of where I get my educational part from, and also going to a university, being in a university setting, although I didn't finish, actually paying attention to what was going on, bringing all of my educational knowledge from grammar school to college, knowing what a syllabus is, and always being around teachers growing up, right? I went to the same elementary school that my mom taught, so I had teachers around me all the time. So that's one part of it. The music part came from, I was in the band in middle and high school, and also I paid close attention to, not necessarily wanting to go into the music business. That wasn't my particular goal, but I love music. Anybody that knew me, that went to school with me, they knew I love music all the time, and wanting to pay attention to it, wanting to be a part of, just knowing the music, anything that you want to be a part of, if it's not music or anything else. I was always told you had to be an expert at it. You had to be around it all the time. You had to put in your 10,000 hours, whatever that is. I don't care if it's growing tomatoes or making beats. It's the same situation. That repetition always means, muscle memory always means something. Just you have to. I was told that you had to, in order to make music your life, you have to make music your life. So therefore, whatever passion that you had, that's what you had to do. And so I believe in law of attraction as well. So therefore, if you keep doing it and keep doing it, here I am teaching at a ton of universities, including a few Ivy League schools without a college degree, right? And I'm teaching a subject that some people sometimes look down upon. I teach the history of hip hop, right? And
Mhm.
so that just comes after just being about it all the time, listening to it all the time, studying it all the time. I think if we want these type of jobs, if you want to make your passion your life, you really have to make it your life. You really have to study it. You have to believe in it. You have to the point it gets on your family's nerves, it gets on people's nerves around you. Like if you want to be in radio, then you have to walk and talk radio all the time. This is nothing that you can have halfway play with. So for anybody that's listening, and if it's something that you want to do, whether it be in music like me or whether it's in academia, you have to be about it all the time. You can't play with it. It has to be a continuous grind all the time behind the screen, the scenes. People will always be in love with the game, but they care nothing about the scrimmage. And you have to put everything you have into the scrimmage, into the practice, in order for you to make it your life. So that's what I would tell anybody if you wanted to do what I do, or just step outside a job traditionally and control your own destiny and making money. So that's what it is.
I think that's a great point. I used to listen to every radio station in the Triangle, not just the urban stations. I listened to every DJ on every station in the 8th grade and made tapes. I wasn't taping the songs, I was taping the DJs.
Right.
And here we are. So yes, I think that is a great point. Dr. Manning, a lot of our listeners may be a little skeptical around whether a place like IBM or other big companies in our area that are part of 110, are they really for them? How can they know that this effort is real and that big corporations like yours can be a real place of belonging where Black talent can actually thrive?
Oh, well, Karen, I totally understand that sentiment. And that is why I think that what 110 is doing is so important, particularly when you think about the apprenticeship experience. You know, Knife just got finished talking about the importance that we all have an opportunity to get into really practicing. He talked about the scrimmage. We have to want to be in the game. And so what 110, I believe, gives us all an opportunity to do is to welcome more people to be a part of the game. They have an opportunity through apprenticeship to really get in and get a chance to have some real exposure to what it is to work with one of these companies, right? But I also want to kind of paint a picture of what the experience has been for people like me who are Black IBMers, because I think that can give you a sense of how you might feel a sense of belonging. And what you want to see at IBM might be similar to an experience you would have in another company. So I'll kind of paint that picture. For me, I get excited about what we do at IBM because I know that Black IBMers have been a part of the IBM journey since its beginning in 1911. And many of us probably saw and had a sense of what it's like to work at IBM when you saw the historic film Hidden Figures. But in plain sight every day, you would see IBMers designing, inventing, closing deals. They're the ones who are at the table at IBM. They are the ones who are very much committed to making sure that we all have a great experience. And when you come to IBM, you're part of the IBM Black community. There are Black resource groups, Black business resource groups at every geography. And you would find one right at Raleigh-Durham's IBM location. And in those resource groups, everyone is getting together so that they can have an opportunity to network, gain support, to get some mentoring. And they also are very active in their local community. When you're at IBM, or you can find yourself at any other companies, you would also have an opportunity to have some level of engagement. So at IBM, we are very engaged with our historically Black colleges and universities. In fact, we have a whole group of Black colleges and universities that we're working with. One of the things that we've done in the last year is that we've rolled out our IBM Skills Academy that really makes skills building easy and accessible for our Black college students. So what that actually does is it supplements the instruction you would receive in the classroom so that everyone has an opportunity to learn new technology skills. We also have 20 cybersecurity centers all over the country. And one thing I do want you to also know is that every time that every leader in the company also has an opportunity to learn. So one of the things that we have rolled out within the last year, well, actually about the last 3 years, is we rolled out additional learning that supports every leader in understanding intersectionality. They have an understanding of allyship, and they have a strong understanding of what it means to really be of support to their Black employees at IBM. And that is now really deeply embedded to who we are. And it has been a part of the IBM story for so long. Not only that, but we have something called Call for Code. Really give us an opportunity to be a part of the open source environment and provides space for everyone to really contribute to creating apps that will support racial equality throughout the country. One of the apps is called the 5/5 Voter Act, and it is a wonderful app that you can look up and you can download on your phone that really addresses voter suppression issues and gives people an opportunity to address that. But we've been very active around critical legislation as well, hate crimes bills, George Floyd, Justice and Policing Act, all of those kind of things IBM has had a very strong voice in. So I just wanted to give you a picture of what that's like for the life of an IBMer. And to really give you a sense that our leaders are prepared, they are thoughtful, they are engaged, and you also join a community that does the same. Every single person, this is something that Maurice talked about earlier, is that there are coaches within IBM. We have coaches and mentors, 13,000 of them, who support the IBMers' overall journey. As you come into IBM, you're a match with the coach and mentor, but then that also continues over the life of your careers. You are accelerating your career, which is a really critical thing, not just that you come into IBM, but that you're actually being promoted. And over the course of your career, there are programs that we have that supports your acceleration. So it's not just getting into the door, as Mayor O'Neill and as Maurice has said. It's really around how you have this larger journey that supports your overall success. And I'm excited about being at IBM. I'm excited about the work that we're doing to support 110 Raleigh-Durham and all the ways that we're going to continue to open the doors so that there is more equality in the workforce.
I love it. I love it. One of the terms that has come up multiple times during this discussion is opportunity. So Maurice, talk to us a little bit about the importance of receiving an opportunity and what that means to you as a Black CEO.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do with respect to 110 is to literally close the opportunity gap, right? That's what this is all about. And so there are certain barriers, both visible and invisible, that are creating opportunity gaps. You heard Anitra earlier talk about the jobs that require a 4-year degree, right, versus those that really are focused on looking at skills, discerning skills, and making sure that we are hiring and promoting people on the basis of skills. So the opportunity gap for me means at least a couple of things. One, and this is, we all should be selfish about this, we are leaving great talent on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Great talent that are needed for our schools and our businesses and our communities and the like, because we've got barriers that are not relevant to their skills that are standing in the way of them having opportunity. That's number one. Number two, for me as a Black male, I was raised in a household of grandparents who were basically excluded from employment and from educational opportunities because they were Black, living in the South in the early part of the 20th century. I know that they were geniuses. I know that they transformed my life. I know that what I need to do to continue to say thank you to them is to fight for more opportunities for us all over the country. And I know that the opportunities that they fought for me, is what transformed my life. So both on a personal level, a professional level, and a concern about us as a country trying to live into the creed of being a land of opportunity, that this is a life's work, and I'm delighted to have partners to work on it with here and in other places around the country.
I love that you have that personal experience that really pushes you to do what you're doing. And I think we can all relate to everything that you were just saying about your grandparents. I'm going to stick with you, Maurice, and I'm going to ask this of all of our panelists. So be thinking about your answer. What advice would you give someone who wants to stand out in this job market, and what resources are available to them here? So, Maurice, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'll go back to what Ninth was saying. The advice that I would give is be ambitious in this job market. Be real thoughtful about where you want to go and go for it. Raise your hand, go for it. This is a market now. There are 10 million unfilled jobs around the country. And so be ambitious. The other advice I would give folks is seek out mentors, seek out people who are doing things that you think you want to do in your future, and spend the time to learn from them, to listen to them, to become in a relationship with them. Those are the kinds of things that I would tell folks to do in this market. Stay optimistic. This is a great time to be in a position of searching for opportunities. Stay optimistic. Don't let a defeat here and there get in the way of your continuing the search for your dreams.
Thank you, Maurice. Ninth, what advice or additional advice, because you already gave us some great advice, would you give to someone who wants to stand out in this current job market?
You know, Raleigh Durham is including Chapel Hill, is considered the largest college town in the United States. I don't know if anybody really knew that, but just where we stand in a very unique space. To have the population of people that we do, to have the Fortune 500 companies that we have, to have companies like Apple and people like that moving here, which is going to be comprised of a lot of computer programmers that did not go to school. They just sat in front of a computer all day and figured it out, right? But one thing about Raleigh Durham that I really love is you can find exactly what your pocket is. If arts is your pocket, you need to get in the art community and start networking with the art community folks. If radio is your pocket, then you need to be up at Radio One, trying to find out everything that you can, or go to every Radio One event that that's going on. If computers is your pocket, then you need to be online looking at everything that IBM or any other company has to offer as far as getting in the door some way, somehow, from an entry level position. I think we're at the point now in the Raleigh-Durham area that people are actually trying to get hired or getting hired because they have the experience. And experience means a lot these days, more so than a degree does, which is, this is where we are, right? If you want to get into academia, there are things that is now called a professor-ed practice, or like I am an artist in residence, because I have the life experience to speak on a subject that few can on a collegiate level, right? So find out what your pocket is, take time to find out what it is, and make sure you immerse yourself in that particular community or that pocket in this area, because it's about 10 or 12 pockets in this area that you can get into. As far as occupations is concerned, find out what their pocket is, find out what the events are, make sure you're attending those events, make sure you have everything in a row, make sure you have all of your social media branded the same way. You can't have your Twitter page named one thing, your Instagram named another thing, your Facebook named another thing, and nobody can follow you, right? And make sure you have all of these social media. Some people use social media for entertainment, to laugh, but we don't understand our Instagram pages and our Twitter pages is our best form of social media real estate that we even have. So you have to make sure all of those things are branded well. You have to make sure all of those things is upfront and forthright, and people can read them and get involved with it. And you can be your own standing company if you even do that the right way. So doing those things really help out to get the job you want to get into and get exactly what you want to get and do exactly what you want to do.
Thank you for that. Mayor O'Neill, what would you say to someone that really wants to stand out?
Be prepared. Preparation. You
Mhm.
have to be prepared. For most of us, we have to learn how to cross cultures in order to enter into the work environment. That means that we basically speak two different languages. You know, I have the language for the West End where I was from. I have the language for my family. You know, we basically do that within the Black community itself.
Mhm.
And then you have to go into the larger society, and you have to be able to switch codes and speak that language. So you have to be prepared for that. There, you know, we would like to think that people don't will like to accept you as you are. That's not reality. You know, there has to be a way that you look, a way that you speak, a way that you present yourself, and so you have to be prepared for that. Black ladies are still having hair issues. We still deal with a lot of hair issues. I have my natural hair, and they recently passed the Crown Act so that people would not discriminate against us in a way that we can detect. However, you know, there's still some subtleties out there that go on in the job arena, and so you just have to be prepared to deal with those situations as you find them, and believe in yourself. I have always tried to be my authentic self, and I'm prepared to go into those arenas and make the presentation that Elaine is the best for that particular situation. Not saying that I'm perfect, but we're going to be the best that we can be in preparation. And you have to prepare for that. That's nothing that comes, it didn't come naturally for me. Public speaking doesn't come naturally for me. I'm an introvert by nature, if you can believe that. But you know, for this assignment and for the many assignments that I've had to learn how to cross cultures, and that is very important for Black folk. We have to be able to do that until we can own our own stuff, and then you know, it makes it easier. But for now, we still have to go into that culture and navigate where the jobs are. Preparation.
Be prepared. I got it. Deborah, what do you think you would say to people who want to stand out in this job market?
Well, I love what Ninth Wonder and the mayor have just said. I would just echo every single thing that they said because they're right, and certainly Maurice as well. Number one, know thyself, know what you want. So many of us, I think, are still trying to figure it out. Maybe you're trying to figure it out, and that's fine. Go and explore, try different things to see what you don't like if you have to do a process of elimination. But that would be the number one thing. If you know what you want, you need to be immersing yourself in that. Whatever it is, you might say, well, I have to work this job that is not in my field, but I really want to do this other thing. Whatever that other thing is, you've got to create a space in your life to practice that in some capacity, whether it's being on a stage or doing music or being in a classroom or doing some piece of science, being a chemist, whatever it is, you have to find a space to practice that craft so that you can have that satisfaction and you can keep your passion alive. And then I'd say I would agree once again with Ninth Wonder, your social media, your brand, whoever you are, wherever you are right now, that's your brand. Really lean into your LinkedIn page. That is key. People are looking on LinkedIn. There are resources. There is training that's free on LinkedIn. You can connect with somebody. You have to know how to communicate with them. If you know that communication is not your strong suit, and you don't have the money to go and take some course, there's a lot of free information online. As one of my friends has told me, Google is your friend. Google it. Give yourself some training on a daily basis. It's right there for you. And once you get all of that social media in and you know what your brand is, or, you know, at least have some sort of consistency, you know what your name is, start there. And then go find the industries that you're interested in. And, you know, who are they? Where do you want to work? What are they looking for? So often I think I hear from talent, they want to work at a particular industry, but they don't know anything about it. They don't know the name of the
Mm.
CEO. They don't know what kind of communication that organization is putting out. A lot of companies out here that you think you want to work for, maybe you want to know what their politics are, but there is a way to learn more about that organization before you even apply for a job. So find that organization. Maybe there's somebody in your circle who you know who's doing what you want to do or what you think you want to do. Find out what their position is. How did they get there? Apply for that job. And some people say, well, I'm not qualified for that. I know I'm not, but it doesn't hurt to apply. It doesn't hurt to fill out that application, to get your resume crafted properly. If you're not sure about your resume, get somebody who you know at a college or wherever, someone who you respect, someone who's credible, to look at your resume and help you out with that. That's going to be really key too, because what these industries are looking for is somebody who is doing a little slice of what they're looking for before they're actually doing it. In my field, for example, broadcasting, everybody's not going to come through our doors having experience in the newsroom. Hey, but if you have a YouTube channel and you were trying to do your own little news show, that shows initiative to me. And you are already doing what you want to be doing without working at a major network. Have a YouTube channel. There's nothing stopping you. Interview your friends, interview your parents. Those are interview skills. And like I said, go back to LinkedIn. There's small business centers out there that are helping people to develop business plans and helping people to connect. There are free events out there on Eventbrite. You can go and find whatever it is you want to do. Is there a group meeting about this? Is there a free meeting? Maybe you have a few dollars you can spend. Sign up for it. Go to a conference, go to a training. Those are opportunities to meet people in the industry that you are interested in being a part of. And lastly, I had a couple more things, but I will say this as well. When it comes to those degree programs, certainly your community college can be your friend for sure. There's so much that you can learn and some skills that you can acquire through community colleges. It's going to cost a whole lot less than a 4-year college, and you can come out with a certificate and be making more than people with a 4-year degree straight away. Those community colleges also have resources to connect you with job opportunities. So that's definitely a place. And lastly, though, do not lose your authenticity. The mayor said that you do have to be prepared when you go into a space. You know what that space is, and nobody in there is wearing a business suit. Maybe then you don't have to wear a business suit. Maybe it's inappropriate to wear a business suit to that particular location. But try to find out what you're stepping into, and at the same time not lose your authenticity, because in this time when employers are looking for diversity, they want you to bring who you are and your experience into the situation, understanding that you also have to, stay within the lanes of that organization.
Great advice, Deborah. Thank you so much. And I agree with what you said. Google is your friend, and it's free. We love it.
Yes.
Dr. Manning, what would you say to someone who wants to stand out?
Well, I would first say is don't underestimate yourself. You likely have a lot of what you need already. For example, if someone has taken a coding class in high school, you probably have a lot of what we're already looking for at IBM. You might also benefit from getting onto our eventual platform that we'll have at 110, because that will give you additional access to a lot of our talent developers who will continue to develop you beyond what you already know. So I would say first, please do not estimate yourself. You probably already have 10 years of experience and don't know it because you know how to code. So that's one of my key things is do not underestimate yourself and use what you already have to get yourself started. And so it's something simple like going onto the 110.org website, learning more about it, having the opportunity to, take some of the courses from a community college, looking at things like Skills Build. IBM has a platform called Skills Build. You can go there, and learn a little bit of the skills that you'll need for today's jobs. There are a lot of boot camps that are also out there. You can take an opportunity to get those kind of skills and then apply for different jobs, apprenticeship opportunities. But it all begins with understanding that you might have a lot of what you need, considering that we are continuing to push for a skills first type of economy. And in a skills first type of economy, your skills matter. Your skills matter more so than a college degree. And it's not to say that a college degree does not matter, but we are really emphasizing that skills are the first thing that we really are looking at. The right mix of skills are what we're looking at so that we can fill the jobs that we need today. So you can be a part of this economic prosperity that is a part of the health sciences and technology industry. Just don't underestimate yourself.
Do not underestimate yourself. I think that's great. And I think that piggybacks on what Deborah was saying is just go ahead. You might think that you're not qualified, but you probably are. And you don't know until you actually try. So don't underestimate yourself. We are going to give people an opportunity to submit questions. If you'd like to submit a question to one of our panelists, you can submit that now. And then I did want to mention a comment that we got from BJ Council. BJ's comment was that we need to get away from the idea in the Black community that law enforcement is not being viewed as a career. If you want police reform, we actually need to be in the building, in the room, at the table. And I think that is a great point. Maurice, as the CEO of 110, what would you like to say as some of your final comments?
This is a unique opportunity, this 110 opportunity. We've got 70 companies who are committing to intentionally pursuing Black talent without four-year degrees for family-sustaining jobs and careers over the next 10 years. It's the largest intentional private sector-led effort for quality jobs for Black talent without four-year degrees in my lifetime. We want to make sure that everybody knows about this opportunity and that it is fully subscribed to. I'm excited about it. It is transformative for companies, for families, for communities, hopefully for our country. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, the Triangle area to make sure that this is the showcase 110 ecosystem around the country. And let's do it, as they say. So thanks for having me to have a chance to chat with all of you about this. And I look forward to rolling my sleeves up and going to work.
All right. We love it. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Our listeners and viewers, of course, can learn more at 110.org. And I want to say thank you to everyone that joined us today for our Talk Jobs Town Hall. Thank you, everyone. And as we established at the beginning of our town hall, the pieces are there. They just need to come together and then be scaled. Thank you for joining us. I am Karen Clark from Foxy 107, 104, and we look forward to communicating with you more about 110 and all of their efforts in conjunction with IBM and other companies in the very near future. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.